And then I say it mildly because he's been so outstanding for this club for so many years and will be for us in the future. So yeah, of course a player isn't happy he's not playing. He wasn't the only one who wasn't happy that he wasn't starting. But the way he behaved was as you would expect from a professional he is, but he was very supportive for his teammates, handled himself really well during the day and yesterday in the session as well.
Listening to this quote, it's a bit ironic what took place soon after. In just 8 days since this press release, Mo Salah was in the mixed zone for just the fourth time in his Liverpool career, about to humiliate Arne Slot and start the biggest civil war in modern Liverpool history. Of all the things he could have done, Salah must surely have known that for a Liverpool manager under pressure and a club under trouble, this was amongst the most damaging of them all. This is not to attribute the downfall of Liverpool's spiraling season to just one player, no. Even before that damning interview, there was chaos ensuing. And perhaps the one who would take the lion's share of accountability is no one other than the manager who spent in excess of 400 million and yet failed to integrate marquee signings into a title-winning side. Still, in spite of Salah's self-destruction and despite Arne Slot's imploding system and all the havoc engulfing Liverpool amid the rise of a civil war, the damning realization is, at the end, there is no right side, and there won't be winners. Both Salah, Slot, and ultimately Liverpool will come out as losers, and it will be all for nothing. Perhaps it does hurt. Even for the fans, Salah is one of Liverpool's all-time greats. He lies behind only Ian Rush and Roger Hunt in the all-time goal-scoring charts. Across all clubs, only Alan Shearer, Harry Kane and Wayne Rooney have scored more Premier League goals. A pivotal piece in the bringing home of the Champions League after 14 years, and the coveted league title after 30. There's no doubt that Salah belongs in the Parthenon of all-time Liverpool greats.
But again, it's how I see it now is it's like you throw Mo under the bus because he's a problem in the team now. But I don't think I'm the problem. I have done so much for this club to get the respect I want to get.
There is indeed much that a club, even one as many greats in its history as Liverpool, owes Salah. And indeed, he deserved and got that respect. First being awarded the most lucrative deal in Liverpool's history in April, and then with the elements that do not show up in the pound sterling. The club's eternal thanks, a place in the Parthenon, they sat him on the throne of the Anfield pitch and crowned him again. Even before, there was a lot of breathing room and exceptions being placed for Salah. The club broke the wage structure in 2022 to accommodate his demands. Klopp effectively lessened his defensive duties and got protected during disputes with teammates. Liverpool have been in debt to Salah and they've been displaying gratitude for years until the very present, or until at least last week. For all the consciousness of his own contributions though, Salah's comments showed a glaring lack of self-awareness regarding his form this season.
Again, I've done so much for this club, and I don't have to go every day fighting for my position because I earn it.
No, it doesn't work like that. Liverpool owes Salah more and then some, but not on the field. Not ever. No club and no team has ever owed anyone a spot in the lineup. You have to keep earning it, and the reality is, when Slot dropped Salah for the game at West Ham, there were few dissenting voices. That's because he's been so ineffective, contributing to just 5 goals and 3 assists in 19 appearances in all competitions. Far too often he has been on the periphery of matches. He has offered little threat going forward, and opponents have repeatedly targeted the space in behind him because he does not track back to help out the right back defensively. Salah had produced one of the greatest individual campaigns in history of English football when he scored 34 goals and chipped in 23 assists last season. But that does not give you a free pass, certainly not when you earn more than £400,000 per week plus bonuses. Football is a game of the eternal present. Selections are dictated by your current output, which certainly Salah has been struggling recently. Although the extent of Salah's struggles deserve sympathy, Slot has radically transformed the winger's role this season, at least in terms of ball receiving areas. As the graphic shows, in the Premier League, his touches in the penalty area have decreased, dropping from 9.6 per 90 to 7.3, while he is getting the ball a lot more in wide areas and further away from the goal. It helps explain why Salah's shot and expected goal numbers have also dropped. He is averaging 2.7 shots and 1 shot on target per 90 compared to 3.4 shots and 1.5 on target compared to last season. When specifically looking at the Premier League, he is still taking his shots in a similar position to previous seasons and from a similar distance from the goal. However, compared to his last 5 Premier League domestic campaigns, his expected goals per shot is the lowest it has been, 0.1. The circumstances around Salah have not helped. The right back position has been subject to continual change, and he is missing Trent Alexander-Arnold's passing range and creativity more than anyone. Last season, the player who passed to Salah the most per 90, 10.5, was Alexander-Arnold, and that was reciprocated with Salah passing to his now former teammate the most too, 7.6. The second most was Szoboszlai, with Salah receiving 5.8 passes and Szoboszlai receiving 4.9. This season, of the players who've played more than 1,000 minutes, Szoboszlai and Connor Bradley are the top in both categories, which is understandable as they have both played right back, and Szoboszlai has moved back to the number 10 role when Salah has played. While Salah is passing to both players more, 10.9 to Szoboszlai and 9.1 to Bradley. Nobody is replicating the number of passes played to him by Alexander-Arnold, with Szoboszlai the closest on 7. It's a reminder perhaps that a huge part of how good a player looks is the system they're playing in. Salah, Alexander-Arnold and Jordan Henderson worked as an almost perfect 3 on Liverpool's right. That team doesn't exist anymore though. Arne Slot has been trying to gradually move away from a Salah-focused team to a new era built around Wirtz as the centerpiece in the middle. But that has dramatically backfired. The most deadly forward in the team has been isolated in the aftermath. Slot's team was built entirely around Salah last season, and it worked out to great effect, but that included relieving him of his defensive responsibilities to keep him higher up the pitch and fresh when the ball came to him.
How do you find it playing in that position where you seem to be slightly further forwards when the team don't have the ball? You're able to stay a little bit ahead of the game. Is that something that you've worked on with Arne Slot?
We spoke about it a lot. Sometimes in the beginning of the season he wanted me to defend that deep. Then I was honest with him. I told him you can ask me to go inside our box, but my number will be completely different than now. But when I'm able to gamble a little bit here or there, I can make the difference, and you can see that during the season.
But the paradox here is, this wasn't a sustainable formula. There was no guarantee Salah would continue on the form of that freakish season. His chance conversion rates receded to 12.5%, down from 16.5% last season. The prior year's extraordinary numbers were, after all, the most prolific campaign for Salah since 8 years ago. He scored only 3 non-penalty league goals, and worse, has shown no signs of forming an on-field relationship with the other forwards Liverpool have brought in. But even for the rightful criticism of Slot and his tactical shift with Salah, it's not like his game involvement has been cut out completely. On the contrary, he's averaging 50 touches per 90 in contrast to his 49 in the previous campaign. The difference is in the area of the pitch he's involved in. But even if you push Salah to the box more often, his ineffectiveness this season shows that he wouldn't repeat the extraordinary feats of last season, at least not from the underlying data. Slot has many since this season. His isolation of Chiesa, repeated insistence on inserting Wirtz into a demanding and physical midfield role, and even failing to get the best out of the true prolific striker signings, and a whole lot of other mess. But moving on from Salah isn't one of those sins. The plan with Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards has always been to rebuild an attack that detaches from relying completely on Salah. That's a natural evolution for a team that was depending in excess of 50% of their goals on a 33-year-old forward. The only issue is that, in Slot's attempt to follow this long-term plan, his tactical structure imploded and the results collapsed. And that has been his gravest sin. In the wreckage of Liverpool's season, a clear imbalance has emerged. Virgil van Dijk has been shielded for months, with only Wayne Rooney offering genuine criticism. Meanwhile, Konate, Wirtz, Kerkez, and Gakpo have absorbed most of the blame. Perhaps that imbalance is what pushed Salah over the edge. The feeling of being cast as the scapegoat for Liverpool's attacking failures. But leadership demands shouldering the responsibility in times of crisis. What Salah did was the opposite.
I think you see things in a different way, it makes you feel good. So you always feel, oh, he's against me. Isn't nobody against you, especially the manager. Like if the manager feels his benefit is with you, he will be with you all the time.
It's never personal.
Exactly, it's never personal. But as a player, because you listen from your friends telling you, oh, why you don't play, why you don't, okay, your friend know nothing. He doesn't know the whole image. So, but it makes you feel good. It makes you feel, oh, that's why I don't play, that's why that thing is going this way.
Salah's ego and self-belief have been evident since his early years. And that's not inherently negative. The greatest players often need the sense of self-importance. It fuels their ambition and elevates them to extraordinary levels. But too often, that ego has tipped beyond acceptable threshold and influenced the team negatively. The Burnley match where Mane erupted at him for refusing to pass. The infamous "if I speak there will be fire" line after clashing with Klopp on the touchline. Arguably the single most important figure in Liverpool's modern history. The drawn-out "I'm more out than in" contract saga designed to pressure FSG.
I didn't receive any offer to stay yet in the club, so probably I'm more out than in.
There have been numerous instances where Salah's ego and self-interest surfaced. No wonder Carragher was furious on Monday Night Football. I rarely agree with Carragher's take. They can be volatile and tinted with bias. But this was one of the very rare occasions where his points were undeniably valid.
I thought it was a disgrace what he did after the game. Some people have painted it as an emotional outburst. I don't think it was. I think whenever Mo Salah stops in a mix zone, which he's done 4 times in 8 years at Liverpool, it's choreographed with him and his agent to cause maximum damage and strengthen his own position. And when you think of the players in that bracket over the last 8 years, I would say Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe. I wouldn't put Salah alongside them, but he's very close for what he's done for Liverpool, so a legendary figure. And all those players, I think, get a privilege. Exactly the same one Mo Salah gets at Liverpool. He doesn't have to defend. He doesn't have to chase back. So that's the privilege he has with Liverpool. But when we're talking about throwing people under the bus, he's threw the Liverpool right back under the bus for 8 years. Can you imagine playing behind him for 8 years? But we accept it because he's a superstar and he scores 250 goals.
Sometimes, Jamie's takes are too infuriating and unfair, especially for someone who should be a neutral analyst. But not this time. This one, it was true. Even though Carragher made some personal and bitter takes like Salah being a Chelsea reject and having not won any titles with Egypt, and although that is technically true, it's merely bad blood lacking contextual justification. Yes, Salah was a Chelsea reject, but so was Kevin De Bruyne. As the Argentina's team motto goes, it's not how you start in life, it's how you finish. And now Salah is one of the greatest Premier League players of all time. Mo might not have won an AFCON championship with one of the greatest sporting nations in Africa, but he was also part of the generation that came after Egypt won 3 consecutive AFCON titles, but had their entire Football League division banned for 2 years due to the death of 70 people in a game. Salah had a fighting battle to even get Egypt to qualify after basically 2 years of no football in their league, let alone win it. And yet he took them to a World Cup and an AFCON final. The statements might be true on the surface, but context sheds them in a different light. Overall, when you analyze it, it's not about racism, it's not about religion as some perpetrated. After all, Jamie Carragher championed Sadio Mane from the day he signed till he left. The issue here is with the ego of individuals who think they're far more important than the team. And despite Salah having some ground on his outburst and despite hitting some emotional beats, he still made the biggest crisis of modern Liverpool all about himself.
Look, nobody is talking about what Mo Salah has achieved in the game. We're talking about a moment in time that I think he got wrong. You do not talk about your personal situation openly when your team is struggling. You do it in a dressing room. I've done it. I went to the dressing room and smashed everything in. I went to the office of the boss and complained about stuff. I went also, let me share that one with you, when I was at Barcelona, I went away with the team, they put me in the stand. Did you hear me talking about it? No. There is a team, they need to protect your team at all costs, all the time. Now, freedom of speech, I can understand that you want to speak, I can understand the frustration. I don't understand the how and the when. That doesn't make any sense to me. That was wrong. And when people talk about relationship, the only relationship a coach wants to have with a player is him to perform. If you're not performing, then your position is in danger. It's not a due to have a position, especially at a club like Liverpool.
In a time where the club is in turmoil, when the manager is in the eye of the storm, and results are imploding, he chose to do exactly what he accused the club of doing to him, throwing everyone under the bus. There is perhaps nothing in a career as hard as leaving it. Benched for 3 consecutive games, broken relationship with the manager and a segment of the fans. How has it come to this? To one of the greatest ever to have played for the club, to a team on the verge of a new dynasty. Nobody comes out of this well. It's not the first time Slot's man management has been questioned. Salah's response, his insistence on blaming others, feels untitled, but the club must be questioned as well. The summer signings appear to have been designed for a post-Salah world, but if that is true, why offer him a new contract then? Why sit him on the throne for a club that has been recently prided itself on the use of data it feels a strangely sentimental decision. Perhaps letting Salah go would have been too much of a disruption this past summer. There is already a sense that Liverpool have tried to change too much too quickly. Why and how did they end up with 3 key players reaching the end of their contracts simultaneously? Nobody knows, and with little to no planning for their possible aftermath too. But keeping Salah while preparing for a future without him has led only to bitterness and reclamation. And all of this leaves one of the most well-run clubs of the past decade suspended in a fragile, disorienting limbo. A manager clinging to his job, a king witnessing the demise of his crown, and a club drifting towards chaos, fractured by a civil war that serves no purpose and promises no resolution. But what's striking and tragic is just how swiftly everything has unraveled since the title celebrations in the spring. If this is truly the end, especially for Salah and Liverpool, then it's a heartbreakingly bitter conclusion. For all those emotions, history, and legacy, that may be the saddest ending of all.
Seems like the club is throwing me under the bus.
I saw it glitter.